All right, guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're having a great day. Yesterday was the day of the dogs. It was a wild day in the MLB. We'll go over the recap, and we'll talk about today's slate and give you my 5 best bets. So let's talk about this recap. It was ugly. We had the Reds on the money line at minus 120. This actually ended up being plus 100 right before first pitch. So I did hit that again, but the Reds pulled it off very easily. Mets -1. They ended up losing. We had the plus 335 half unit play of Lugo over 17.5 outs, 5 Ks, and the Rays to win. Kansas City just absolutely hammered them. Shane Baz had the worst start of his career. So that was the only piece we missed. Lugo went over his outs, over his Ks. We just missed the Rays getting the job done. We had Guardians, team total over 4.5. This one hooked. Multiple rain delays. That was frustrating. Guardians win 4-3. We had Brewers race to 5 and Phillies race to 5. Both teams got, well, I don't want to say the Phillies got smoked, but they got beat. Brewers got smoked. They got destroyed. It was like 8-0. The White Sox beat them 8-0. They should hold their heads in shame on that flight home. And then the Phillies had chances, just could not get timely hits, man. Very frustrating. But it is what it is. So on the day, we went a lovely 1-5. So not the way I wanted to start May. But let's get into this slate. Let's have a better day. That was just a weird day yesterday. I think a lot of people probably had the Giants and the Tigers in some type of parlay to save the day, and the Giants lost to the Rockies. The Rockies have won 2 in a row. Don't look now. Playoff contenders? Probably not, but they did win 2 in a row. All right, so first game on the card today is going to be the Nats and the Reds. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this game. It is ridiculously likely that this game does not get played. There is severe storms planned right around game time. I just don't see this game getting played. But if it does, Hunter Green on the bump against Mitchell Parker. Parker's 3-1 with a 191 opponent average. Hunter Green 3-2 with a 185 opponent average. Green's had 2 pretty mediocre starts. Mitchell Parker had a really bad last start. So the Reds have a starting pitcher and bullpen advantage because they were able to stomp the Cards. They were able to save their good bullpen arms again. So, they had to use Graham Ashcraft in kind of a long start after the rain delay, but they're still in a great spot here. If we look at Hunter Green, 6-5 with the 3.0 ERA at home since last season. Now, if we look at Mitchell Parker, struggled on the road. He's 1-7 with a 6.0 ERA on the road since 2024. So that's 74 innings, 50 earned runs, 65K. So pretty massive advantage towards the Reds. Reds have been hitting left-handed pitching pretty well. They got a couple off of Liberatore. Steven Matz made them look silly, but before that, they scored 6 on Freeland, 7 on Povich, 4 on Haney, 3 on Bailey. So they've been hitting lefties, really well. Like I said, Parker coming off of getting smacked around by the Mets. He went 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned. Other than that, though, he's had some pretty good starts. This guy's not a high K guy. That said, against the Reds, you can definitely rack up some Ks. But they've been doing really well against lefties, actually. Only striking out at a 19% clip over the last 2 weeks, 17% over the past week. That is way better than what they've been doing versus right-handed pitching. So it's a red spot, but like I said, I just don't think it gets played. Weather-wise, it's going to be really good across just kind of the northeast of the U.S. today. It's going to be 73 degrees, mid-humidity, low pressure with the wind blowing out. So home runs are cranked up like plus 38%. Runs are plus 20. But like I said, I don't think this game gets played. Next game, another game that I'm not sure if it gets played. It is it's like a 75% chance of rain between first pitch and when the game ends, like every hour, 73%. 72 degrees, mid-humidity, low pressure, and an 8 to 14 mile an hour wind blowing out to kind of left field and left center. Dylan Cease on the bump going up against Mitch Keller. We see Padres are pretty heavily favored here. I don't know if I agree with that. Dylan Cease, just not a guy I can trust. I said, okay on the road. If we go back to last season, 8-5 with a 4.4 ERA. Mitch Keller, 5-7 at home with a 3.43 ERA. So my kind of first lean in this was just Pirates team total over. Just fade Dylan Cease because he's not great. If we look at it, there's some guys that I think will do pretty well today. Brian Reynolds, Joey Bart, I think even Tommy Pham, Cabrian Hayes, O'Neal Cruz. I think they all could have a really good day. That said, I think the Padres are in the exact same boat. I think Manny Machado's got a very good matchup. Tatis, Arias, all those guys have really good matchups. In terms of, records against Keller, we don't have a ton of ABs here. Arias is 3 for 9 off of Keller. Xander Bogaerts 1 for 6. Machado's 1 for 5. Jason Hayward is 4 for 8. So not a ton of ABs here for either one. Dylan Cease, I just cannot trust this guy, man. Last start against the Rays, he went 4.1 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned. Previous start against Houston, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned. I mean, he's given up 2 or more earned runs in his last 4 starts. Against the A's, he got lit up, 9 hits, 9 earned. So just not a dude I can trust. In every start but one, he's given up 2 or more earned runs. We go to Mitch Keller, kind of the same deal. He's given up 2 earned runs in his last 2 starts against the Dodgers and Cleveland. Gave up 3 against the Nats. Go back to the Yankees, he gave up 7. So not a dude I can get behind. I don't love where these bullpens are at for this game. If we look at Jason Adam, if he pitches tonight, it would be 3 of the past 4 days. Estrada would be 3 of the past 4 days. Suarez would be 3 of the past 4 days. So they're in a bad spot in their bullpen. And I don't trust the Pirates bullpen. We had Hunter Stratton throw 20+ yesterday. Kyle Nicholas throw 20+. Wentz threw. But other guys like Bednar, he would be 3 of the last 4 days. So I don't love anything about this game. I would take the over 8. But like I said, probably doesn't get played. All right, next game is going to be the D-backs and the Phillies. Oh, Phillies. Let me down yesterday. Merrill Kelly going up against Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo's been outstanding. That said, Kelly doesn't have a great ERA on the road going back to last season, but he's 4-1. So he's getting a lot of run support when he pitches. Same thing as the other couple games with the weather. It's going to be really nice. 79 degrees, mid-humidity, low pressure, so optimal for carry with a 7-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to center field. So home runs are going to be up 30%, runs up 9%. 2 really bad bullpens here. Both of these teams about 4.5 ERAs in the pen. These are bottom 10 bullpens altogether. But in terms of the starting pitchers, really good track record. Kelly's 3-1 on the year, giving up an opponent average of 197. Jesus Luzardo 3-0, giving up a 215 opponent average. The biggest separator here is hard hit percentage. Luzardo throws some pretty nasty breaking stuff. His slider is pretty sick. He's only given up a 37% hard hit percentage, whereas Merrill Kelly's giving up close to 47%. So pretty big difference on a day where, fly balls could be deadly. Both of these pitchers have a pretty even mix. They're skewed slightly towards fly balls, but it's a pretty more even mix than maybe some other pitchers. Kelly, about 57% of his outs come through the fly ball. Jesus Luzardo, about 56%. I want to go Phillies in this one. Minus 155 is a little steep for a game that I think is fairly evenly matched. If we look at batting history over the last 3 years, not a ton of ABs on the Arizona side against Luzardo. Grichuk's 1 for 3. Josh Naylor's 2 for 2 versus him. Gurriel's 1 for 3. Corbin Carroll's 1 for 3. Eugenio Suarez is 1 for 2. Moreno's 1 for 2. So, some success there. A little more of a track record on the Phillies side. We've got Nick Castellanos is 1 for 9. Bryce Harper is 0 for 7, but he does have 4 walks. Kyle Schwarber's 2 for 8. Max Kepler's 1 for 6. Real Muto's 2 for 9. Alex Bohm, 2 for 7. Bryson Stott, 1 for 10. And then Trey Turner has a lot of ABs, relatively speaking, against Kelly. And he's 8 for 19, so he's hitting .421 with a home run, 2 extra bases. He's walked 4 times, and he's K'd 4 times. So could be a good day to take Trey Turner over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He was the only bright spot for the Phillies yesterday in a pretty crappy game. Lean Phillies in this game. I just don't necessarily love Dbacks facing a lefty. If we look back at recent trends versus the Dbacks on lefties, David Peterson was the last person they faced. Only got 5 hits, 1 earned run off of him. Sale, they only got 1 earned run off of him. Jose Quintana didn't get any. Mitchell Parker, they got 1. They got to Carlos Rodon. They got 4 off of him. Didn't get any off of Boyd. 1 off of Imanaga. 3 off of Justin Steele. So if we look over the last 4 lefties, they've only gotten 3 earned runs. So not great. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Luzardo's pitching really well, giving up a 224 average to righties, 194 to lefties. Merrill Kelly, 192 to lefties, 204 to righties. So pretty good splits for both. Don't really want to take an under, which is kind of initially where I lean, just with the wind blowing out and being a pretty optimal day to play ball. And 2 terrible bullpens. So maybe like a first 5 under, but lean Phillies in this one. Really couldn't find an angle to get to the D-backs here. All right, next game, Rays and the Yankees. Rays haven't played a ton of away games. This will be their 10th away game as opposed to a lot more home games. But they've lost 3 in a row. Yankees lost their last one. Yankees are 18-13, 10-5 at home. Rays are 14-17, 5-4 on the road. Ryan Pepio going up against Max Fried. Pepio 2-3 on the year, giving up a 261 opponent average with a 4.24 ERA. Max Fried, the lefty, 5-0 to start the year, giving up a 207 opponent average and a 1.19 ERA. If we look at Pepio on the road since last season, 6-5 with a 3.22 ERA. In terms of trends against Pepio, we do have some ABs, not a ton. Volpe's 2 for 4, Austin Wells 0 for 5, Judge is 2 for 6, has not hit a home run off of him, surprisingly. Bellinger 1 for 3, Paul Goldschmidt 0 for 3, Jazz Chisholm, I don't think Chisholm's playing, but he's 0 for 11 against Pepio. Trent Grisham 1 for 8, and Ben Rice 0 for 3. Now on the other side, it's pretty easy for the Rays. They have never gotten a hit off of Max Fried. Now, most of them have 3 plate appearances. Now, Christopher Morel has 6, but has never gotten a hit. So if we add it up, they're like 0 for 29 or something like that, maybe 0 for 30-something against Max Fried, who's throwing the ball really well. Rays are struggling to hit lefties. Over the last 2 weeks, they're hitting 150. Over the last week, they're hitting 120, hitting 122. With runners in scoring position over the last week. There's just no angle whatsoever I can get to the Rays here. In terms of run support for Pepio, he's not getting much, averaging 3 runs a game when he pitches. When Max Fried pitches, Yankees are averaging 8.67 runs per game. Give me the Yankees on the run line. Give me the Yankees race to 4, Yankees race to 5. I love Yankees in this spot. Pitch mix looks terrible for Pepio. Throws the fastball 39% of the time. Yankees are third hitting that. Throws the cutter about 10% of the time. Yankees are the best hitting that. Throws a changeup 27% of the time. Yankees are 5th hitting that. And then throws a slider every once in a while. Yankees are 17th there. Now, pitch splits for Fried, conversely, don't look fantastic. Rays are hitting the fastball okay against lefties. They're top 10. They're hitting the slider and the curveball top 10, and those are his really 3 main pitches that he throws. So is there an angle to get to the Rays? In some world, I guess so. And at plus 180, it might be worth taking a flyer, especially after yesterday's madness, but nothing I can get behind here. I mean, Pepio's given up a 300 average to righties, 220 to lefties. Fried 213 to righties, 189 to lefties. Very low hard hit percentage. It's a Yankee spot. All right, next game, Royals and the Orioles. Michael Wacha going up against Dean Kramer. Kramer 4-5 with a 4.23 ERA at home since last season. Wacha 6-6 with a 3.82 ERA on the road. Another game where we've got great weather, 75 degrees, mid-humidity, low pressure with the wind blowing out. So home runs are up 17%. Runs are up 13%. Dean Kramer giving up a 326 average to lefties, 279 to righties, Waka 263 to lefties, 203 to righties. Waka 1-3 on the year. Dean Kramer 2-4 with an opponent average of 305. Not good. 7.04 ERA for Kramer, 3.38 for Michael Waka. In terms of historical past against these pitchers, not a ton. Actually, no, I'm sorry. There actually is a really pretty swath large of at-bats. Gunnar Henderson's only 1 for 14 off of Waka. Cedric Mullins is 4 for 12. Ryan Mountcastle is 7 for 14. Adley Rushman's 3 for 12. And Ramon Urias is 4 for 12. So those are some of the people with larger at-bat numbers. On the Kansas City side versus Kramer, Bobby Witt is 4 for 11. Salvador Perez is 3 for 11. Let's see. Miguel Garcia is 2 for 8. Vinny Pasquantino's 2 for 7. And Jonathan India is 2 for 7. Give me the over in this one. You got two pitchers that I have no faith in. I don't trust the Orioles bullpen, who is 25th in baseball in terms of ERA, whereas the Royals are 7th in terms of ERA. Waka is the better pitcher in this matchup. So there is an angle to get behind the Royals at plus 114, but I just kind of like the over. Given the weather and the propensity of the pitchers to give up runs in the Orioles bullpen, it's either that over, Royals team total over would be the only two angles I got here. Next game, Guardians and the Blue Jays. We've got Logan Allen going up against Chris Bassett. Bassett at home likes to give up some runs, 9-8 with a 4.19 ERA at home since last season. Roof will be closed, so we don't have to worry about the weather here. Logan Allen had a phenomenal season going until last start against Boston, where he got destroyed. 9 hits, 7 earned runs, walked 3, struck out 2. Chris Bassett, last 2 outings, he's given up 4 earned runs against the Yankees and the Astros, both on the road. His last home start was against the Braves, where he went 5 innings of 10K, 3-hit baseball. He looked phenomenal. He's only had 2 home starts this season. Baltimore was the other one to start the year. He looked good, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7K. So don't really see an angle here to back Bassett, other than the fact that it's a lefty on the hill. But no, I'm not backing the Guardians here at plus 124 is a decent value. But I can't get behind Logan Allen. I just don't like this game. Fade for me. All right, next game, Twins and the Red Sox. We've got Joe Ryan going up against Brian Bayo. Bayo 2-0 on the year with a 250 opponent average, going up against Joe Ryan, who is 2-2 with a 216 opponent average. ERA very, very similar between these two. 3.18 for Ryan, 3.27 for Bayo. If we look at pitch splits here, Joe Ryan giving up a 250 average to lefties, sub 2 to righties. Bayo 276 to lefties, 200 to righties. An interesting game. Ryan coming off a really good game against the Angels. I know, because we took his under 7.5 Ks and he struck out 11. Went 7 innings of 4-hit, no earned run baseball. Prior to that, got lit up by the Braves. Gave up 6 earned in 5 innings. But other than that, he's had really good starts. Bayo, last start was at Cleveland. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, gave up a dinger, walked 3, and struck out 4, and then pitched against Seattle. So only making his 3rd start of the season. We're getting the Twins on the road, minus 112. I would lean Twins in this one if you're just looking at starting pitching, but I got a weird feeling about this one. 64 degrees, mid-humidity, and low pressure, so carry's going to be up pretty good. We've got an 8-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to center and left center. Only thing that scares me here is Joe Ryan is a fly ball pitcher. 65% of his outs come via the fly ball. Bayo is a ground ball pitcher. 53% of his outs come via the ground ball. Pitch splits definitely favor Boston here. So you're getting Boston, the better offensive team, at home at minus 108. So, yeah, it's Boston or nothing for me in this spot. Will most likely be nothing. All right, Athletics and the Marlins. No, I don't want to touch this game at all. Gunnar Hoglund pitching for the Athletics. Valenti Belazzo for the Marlins. 77 degrees, mid-humidity, mid-pressure, and a 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from left center. Now, the wind doesn't have as drastic of an effect in Miami as it does as maybe some other ballparks. So that 15, while it might be a ton at Wrigley, isn't necessarily a ton in Miami. But two pitchers that I don't know anything about Gunnar Hoglund, I'll be honest. I spent 30 seconds on this game. A's are pass for me. I can't get behind Valenti Belazzo. And the A's have looked pretty good. They've won 2 in a row. Marlins have lost their last 5. A's are 7-3 in their last 10. Marlins are 4-6. If we look at teams above 500, the Marlins have not fared well. They're 6-15 on the season against teams over 500. And yeah, the A's are over 500. They got a 17-15 record. So A's or pass, lean pass here. All right, next game that we do have an official play on is going to be the Dodgers and the Braves. Grant Holmes going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto, 3-2 on the year with a 190 average, giving up an ERA of 1.06. It's insane that he's 3-2 on the year. Grant Holmes, 2-1 with a 182 average, giving up a 4.50 ERA. Pitch splits look terrible for Grant Holmes. Everything he throws, except for the fastball, the Dodgers are top 7 or better. Most of them top 5. So Dodgers in this spot. I like really good matchup for Max Muncy. Shohei's got a good matchup. Conforto's got a good track record against Holmes. I really don't have a lot of ABs on the Dodgers side versus Holmes, but those guys have really good matchups today. So this is Dodgers. Give me the Dodgers on the run line, minus 105 here. All right, Astros and the White Sox. It's going to be a cold day in Chicago. Framber Valdez going up against Jonathan Cannon. It's going to be 48 degrees with high humidity and mid-pressure and a 12-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left center. So home runs will be up. Runs will actually be down a little bit. Over-under of 7.5. I want to lean towards the over. White Sox are coming off of a W, but they're 3-7 in their last 10, 5-10 at home, 8-23 overall. Astros 16-14 on the year, 5-7 on the road, and they lost their last game. So, I mean, it's an Astros spot. Am I paying minus 238 for them? God, no. And it's going to be really cold weather. Valdez has struggled against lefties, giving up a 320 average, 208 to righties, 46% hard hit percentage. Cannon, 226 to lefties, 246 to righties, 45% hard hit percentage. So both of these pitchers are giving up really hard contact. Neither can get run support to save their lives. Valdez is averaging a little over 2 runs a game when he pitches of run support. Cannon's getting 1.6 runs a game. So it's just complete fade for me, and good luck in this game. But not betting on this game. Mariners and the Rangers. Brian Wu going up against Jack Leiter. Roof's going to be closed. This is one where Wu is 3-1 with a 3 ERA, going up against Jack Leiter, who's 2-0 with a 2.03 ERA. Who's going to be the better offense? Mariners have one of the best offenses outside of their home stadium. So when they're on the road, they hit really well. Bullpens are pretty mid. I'd say they're basically the same bullpen, right around a 3.7 ERA for both teams. I kind of wanted to go over in this one, but man, Rangers on the season, 71% of their games have gone under. 61% of the Mariners games have gone over. So then it made me want to lean towards the under. We got 2 pretty good pitchers here, 2 decent bullpens. Leiter giving up sub 200 to lefties and righties. Brian Wu right around 200 to both lefties and righties. Both have a very low hard hit percentage. Jack Leiter's hard hit percentage is 29.4%, one of the best in baseball. So give me the under 8 in this one with a lean towards the Mariners here. Just the better offense. I just don't know if I can trust Texas offense. Mariners versus righties have been really good. Over the past week, they've been one of the best right-handed hitting teams in baseball. WRC plus of 192, average of 311 over the past week. 264 over the past 2 weeks with the number 1 WRC plus of 148. And they've been walking a ton, and they haven't been striking out a bunch, which is pretty good for the Mariners. So, like I said, under and the Mariners would be my plays there. Cubbies and the Brew Crew. Cubbies coming off a nice little win against Paul Skeens yesterday. 6-4 in their last 10. Brewers are 4-6 in their last 10. Brew Crew sitting at an even 16-16 on the season, but they've been very good at home. They are 9-4 this season at home, but the Cubbies actually have a better away record than home records. They're 10-6 on the year. Big divisional series here. We're hoping as a Reds fan that the Brewers win. I'll be honest, that would be good for the Redlegs. Both of these teams don't score a lot of runs in the first inning, actually. This is the 5th and 6th ranked in terms of fewest runs in the first inning. Brew Crew about 1 run every 4 games. Cubbies about 1 run every 4.5 games. So there could be some nerfy options here. However, 2 pitchers I don't trust whatsoever. It's Ben Brown for the Cubbies, 2-2 on the year, giving up an opponent average of 3.12 and an ERA just a hair over 6. Going up against Quinn Priester, who is 1-0 with a 2.60 opponent average and a 3.79 ERA. Priester giving up a 2.57 average to lefties, 2.70 to righties. Ben Brown, 3.21 to lefties, 3.08 to righties. Whew. Not great. If we look at this splits and track records versus Ben Brown, Brewers really, they don't have a ton of ABs. It's right around 15 ABs, but they've never gotten a hit off of him, and they've struck out a bunch. So they have struck out, they've struck out 9 times in about 19 plate appearances. So I would lean Cubbies here. I actually don't mind the Cubs in this spot. Should be runs, you would think. 2 pretty bad bullpens. So Cubs in the over would be my bet here. I do think like Michael Busch and Kyle Tucker should have a pretty decent night. Ian Happ has a decent favorable matchup in this one. So the matchups actually favor the Cubs here. Like I said, Cubs or the over here. Roof's closed, so we don't have to worry about weather. Next game, Mets and the Cards. Clay Holmes going up against Sonny Gray. Good matchup here. Holmes 3-1 on the year. Gray 3-0. Both have a very similar opponent average. ERAs. Clay Holmes 2.64. Sonny Gray 3.60. Now, in terms of previous matchups here against Clay Holmes, Cards really don't have a ton of success. I mean, Wilson Contreras is 2 for 3. Nolan Arenado's 1 for 1. Donovan's 1 for 3. But that's about it. A lot of offers after that. Sonny Gray versus this Mets lineup. A decent amount of ABs, I guess, over the last 3 years. Alonso's hitting 2 for 6. Lindor's 2 for 6. Soto's 1 for 3. Brandon Nimmo is 2 for 6, and Jesse Winker is 3 for 9. So a decent amount of people in this lineup that are hitting 333 off of Sonny Gray. In fact, it is 6 of the 9 players are hitting 333. So I do like the Mets in this spot. Mets on the road are 8-8. They've really been a great home team where they're 13-3, but they've lost 2 in a row. Love the bounce back factor. If we look at the Cards at home, they're a good home team, 10-5, 4-13 on the road. So it's kind of very evenly split matchups here, but I do lean Mets in this one. In terms of the weather, 63 degrees with mid-humidity, mid-pressure, and we do have a slight wind blowing in from left field, so runs are going to be down a little bit. See an over-under of 7.5, just a little low for me to trust taking that, but I do like the Mets at -122. Almost made the card. All right, next one. We've got 2 more games left. It's Skubal Day. Tariq Skubal going up against Jose Soriano. Nice comeback by the Tigers last night there to absolutely demolish that POS bullpen of the Angels with their 6 ERA, 29th in baseball. Tigers have one of the best bullpens in baseball, actually, 2.69 ERA. That is 4th. And they have one of the best starting pitchers going in Tariq Skubal. Skubal 3-2 with a 2.34 ERA. Jose Soriano 2-4 with a 4.50 ERA. This is one where I don't love it for the Angels. And if we look at the Angels, man, they strike out a lot versus lefties. Taylor Ward, almost a 30% K percentage. Zach Neto, a 50% K percentage. Logan O'Hoppe, 25%. Soler, 43% strikeout percentage. Adele, 30%. Kyron Parise, 29.4%. So a lot of Ks against lefties. I don't love this team batting against lefties. They are hitting 184 over the last 2 weeks. Now, over the last week, it's a little skewed. They're hitting 429. They face some really, really weak lefties. But overall, this is 100% a Tiger spot. So give me, we're going to parlay this a little bit. We're going to do Tigers money line and Scooble 7+ Ks. So that's how we're going to play that one. Last game on the card, Rockies and the Giants. We've got Antonio Senzatella going up against Robbie Ray. It's going to be 50 degrees, high humidity, mid-pressure, a 14-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to center field. That said, home runs down 31%, runs down 9. We got an over-under of 7.5. I wouldn't mind taking the over in this one, but I think there's a great bounce-back spot for the Giants. Robbie Ray should be able to just absolutely shut this team down. If we look at the Rockies versus lefties, they've actually gotten to a couple. But they've been in Colorado. So they got to Reagans a little bit. They got to Andrew Abbott. Lodolo just absolutely blanked them. Sale threw a hell of a game against them. Chris Bubik blanked them. Kyle Hart threw a great game against them. So no real angle here to get to the Rockies. They are one of the worst hitting teams in baseball, and you turn them around against a lefty, it's even worse. So they are bottom 5 or worse in every statistical category offensively you can think of. So a great spot for the Giants. They just need to hit. And Senzatella is a guy you can hit. This guy is giving up a 382 opponent average. He's pitched almost 30 innings. He's got 13K, so he's not going to strike you out. It's a great spot here for the Giants to bounce back. So we're going to take them in a parlay. All right, let's get to our best bets. Before I do that, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that. All right, first play today is going to be the Tigers on the money line. Tariq Skubal would have 7 strikeouts, plus 126 on DraftKings when you combine the two. We're going to do Yankees race to 4 and 5. Just a big disparity in pitching between Pepio and Fried. We talked about it. The Rays have a terrible track record against lefties. So I do like the Yankees to run wild in this game today, especially with the home runs being up. Next play is going to be the Dodgers minus 1.5, just trusting Yamamoto to get the job done here. Pretty big pitching disparity there. And then last play is going to be a little 3-leg parlay. We're going to do a half a unit on this. We're going to do the Giants, Dodgers, and the Yankees. So 3 teams that I love to win today. We're just going to put them together. We get plus 218 on FanDuel. So those are the plays today, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.